Welcome back to the LS Car Meets. I am so happy to have this update. Oh, it's so cool. I am really excited to go over some of the stuff with you today. It has been a very interesting time. If you can see, I am headed towards getting my 1,000. And that's the goal that I've put in myself right now, is getting that 1,000 rep and going to the end of this. I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I'm going for it. And the thing is I'm kind of, there's something that's kind of depressing me right now, and the problem is that we have the last car coming in, which is kind of the SC 300 or 400 car that's coming in. I don't think this car is going to be game breaking at all, so I think the stuff that we go over today is going to still be consistent. But that's the bummer for me, is that I kind of see this as, we don't have any more stuff that's coming out, and I think that's kind of like, I don't know, the word depressing comes to mind. I wanted to be able to have some more stuff. I thought that I saw in part of the game there was a kind of those loading screens that you go through, that one said the new Pursuit Race red line, and I don't know, maybe I don't know if I imagined it or if I just kind of put it together because I wanted it, but as I was going through the leaderboards of both the street racing and pursuit area, I noticed that there was a gap. So there's a good chance that there is something that they're going to add, and that's the thing is I really like about this edition is that you have a lot of, we're Midnight Club players and some of you guys are underground players, and this really kind of calls to you guys, and I know it definitely called to me. This update, and I don't think it's a timing thing, I think it really is one of those updates that people really like. The cars, even with some of their issues, if you will, that we're probably going to go over at some point here, is that they're still very well balanced and they're still very competitive. The idea that pursuit races are really trying to find the best route, so even if you have the best car, you may not have the best line, you can still lose a race. There's a lot of variables there that we don't usually see when it comes to, GTA in general, and I think that's very refreshing for us, and I think that's why people are really still playing it. Well, at least I hope you guys are. I seem to run into a lot of you guys that are still playing it. But that's the thing is I'm hoping that they're going to add some more races, and I hope that they're going to add some more cars. That would be really great to see some of the cars that we were discussing in our other videos kind of get added to the LS meets and really do something with it. So without further delay, the big thing is getting to 1,000. That's one goal, and then the rest of it is really just finding the best routes and hopefully getting some new stuff out and some new content, and going through the whole thing. It'll be fun to do. So today we're going to talk about kind of the top 3 cars that, if you want to do the LS car meets, they're kind of, I don't want to say must-haves, but like the 3 cars that you're really going to use probably more than any other vehicle. And that's the thing is it's really based on kind of budget. I hope you guys do have a budget and can actually buy the cars that you need to do to race. But one of the things we're going to be discussing, if you haven't bought your Kasadka and haven't done Karin as much as I have, is that you need to be able to have cars that do what they need to do in the racing. So, and that's what we want to go over today. So the first thing I want to say, though, is that one thing you're going to see a lot with these cars is the cars are cambered out. This is something that I actually brought up to Brophy in a comment to one of his videos, and he was gracious enough to respond to me and let me know, kind of confirm stuff. Those guys understand stuff like handling flags and crazy things like that, which I don't really go into a lot. I don't have access to it. But it's good to be able to read some of you guys' stuff and get updated on it and know what's going on. So you're going to see these cars that are cambered, and you may think that we're doing the vehicle default or lowering status. We're not doing that. The only option that you want to use is going to be the suspension flag. So if you do suspension and lower it all the way down, it's going to look stupid with the camber, but the idea is just like adding a spoiler, that's going to increase the handling of your vehicle a little bit. And the thing is so if you're running some of these cars, you're not getting the numbers, you're not seeing the results you're seeing, it might be in the suspension that the problems are occurring. So remember to think about that suspension thing. and do that and add it to it. If you do any of the lowering stuff, sure, you're going to get some extra top speed, but the handling you're going to get, and this is a big handling style update. Handling, even on the cars that punish you, are really going to be the ones that you need to have that handling there. You don't want to be thrown out and crashing and all that other stuff. It's not going to do you any favors. So yeah, so suspension all the way down, but use the default, not lowered default stance. So the first car up today is the Sultan Classic RS. This one is such a good car all around, and that's what I like about it, is it has kind of that good at everything, master of nothing kind of car. And it's one of those things for people who have a budget. They're going to look at a car and say, I need something that's going to kind of meet all my necessities all in one vehicle. And you may not want to choose a vehicle that's going to punish you for driving it. And trust me, there are cars in this update that we're going to go over here that are going to punish you for driving them. And that's the thing is you may fall back to that for that reason. So, like I said, the Sultan Classic kind of fits in that void. It's going to look weird with the camber on it, but it's one of those vehicles that really just falls into that perfect second place when it comes to anything and everything. And that thing is if that's what you want to drive and it's just comfortable for you, I don't think anybody should judge you for using that vehicle. I've used it a lot myself. Even when I have the ability to know which car is going to be faster, it's still a car that I kind of fall back to because it's just fun to drive. And I like cars being fun to drive, so I understand if you will too. In the second place today is going to be the Vectre. Now, the Vectre is really not for pursuit races. Pursuit races are all about top speed and getting as much power you can out of the car and on the track. But the Vectre is a street racing car. It doesn't do well in courses that require the top speed, like County Crossing is a good example. So if you have a track that really is top speed oriented and you can carry a lot of top speed through the whole track, the Vectre is definitely not going to be the car. But as a whole, it does well in most of the street races. So kind of like the 9 out of 10 races, or it's more like 8 out of 10 races, the Vectre is going to be the best car for your street racing opportunities. It's good handling, good takeoff. It's going to look weird cambered, but the handling on it really does pay off. And it's one of those cars that, as you take it out, it's just really fun to drive. It's one of those cars that you end up, once you're done with the race, you might just drive it around. I'm a big fan of the ETR, and it's got the same kind of handling potential as the ETR, but the ETR, same problem, no top speed. So it's one of those things of it really doesn't do very well in the high speed stuff. So the Vectre is not going to be your all-around car. It'll definitely be your second choice car. Or if I'm just going to do street racing, it might be your only vehicle. So I'm going to give an honorable mention here, and this is something where, let's say you have no budget and you just say, look, I need to have a car to fill the void and get me somewhere so that it can have potential to win in races. But it's really going to be a car that you're building up to get another car, and that's the Urus. The Urus does exceptionally well in street races, and it kind of fills a weird niche. Before the Vectre came out, it was the kind of handling car, and it would win races against Calicos, and it was really cool to see that it was doing so well against the competition. But it's ended up being, once the Vectre came out and then the Sultan RS came out, it kind of ended up getting shafted a lot, and it's kind of unfortunate because the Urus is kind of the unsung hero of the early races. It was something that I drove all the time. It is a handful to drive, but it is still fun to drive, and I think that's pretty cool because it's the lightness of it, which is funny because it really looks like a really heavy car, but its lightness and its nimbleness and the way you can kind of just get in and out of the throttle on it just made it so enjoyable. And it was kind of unfortunate that it got shafted once the new cars came out, and now it's kind of second place. As you noticed, the last two cars were both updated cars, and like I said, the more they came out, the more the Urus kind of said, okay, I'm playing second fiddle here. So but like I said, I wanted to give the Urus its due because it really does get a shout out for the times. It's won a lot of races for me when people are falling back on other cars. and I was using one that was more nimble, and it allowed me to win races when people were like, oh, I couldn't believe that was winnable. So, you know, big shout out for the Urus. So like I said, if you don't have the money and you need something and you've won the Urus, there you go. You have a car that's free that could do some upgrades, but unfortunately now it's not going to be a car that you're going to sit on for a long term. Definitely moving to something different. So the last car, and I don't think anybody's shocked by it. We actually said it. I think I gave it away a couple of seconds ago anyway, is the Calico GTF. This thing is just a monster with speed. It is the only car for choice for pursuit races. I like to fall back on the Comet S2 just to have options to race with. But even when I played the Comet and used kind of the tricks to make the car go as fast as it can possibly go, it still goes back to the idea that the Calico is solid-footed. It's just a good bang car. Like you get in a fight with other people and you go back and forth. You drive it well. It'll take on cops and in pursuits. It just doesn't want to quit. The Calico, unfortunately, is not the be-all, end-all car. There are places where the Calico is not the fastest car, but it's one of those ones that, because it does everything in pursuit and does pretty well at some of the street races, or at least two of the street races it does very well in, it ends up being a vehicle that just, any person that says, if you're going to buy two cars, you're going to have the Calico in your collection. And most people would start off with the Calico, and I wouldn't blame them because it's just such a cool car. The only problem with the Calico is it punishes you for driving it, and it really is a tough one to get used to, and you may have to build your times up over time and get used to that all-wheel drive and, not wanting to turn and getting off the gas. And there's a lot of things that you're going to learn about when you're driving it. And that really is when somebody asks me, they go, hey, I just want to get one car. What car would I get? And I really say it's based on your driving style, and that's going to be definitely between the Calico GTF and the Sultan RS. Those are your two choices, and it's based on how much fun you're having depending on which vehicle you're picking out. So that's our choices for today. We're going to, like I said, we're going to head for this 1,000. We're going to start looking into I got to figure out how to present it to you guys in a way. We've done a lot of testing to see which car is the fastest on each track. It's been fairly consistent with the testing right now, but I still want to test some of the other ones. I really haven't taken the Comet out on everything, and I think I want to give it its due diligence. I haven't really taken out as much the Urus on some of the tracks, and I also want to throw around the Jester a little bit more, because that's one car that I think really people thought was going to be the big dog. I see a lot of you guys out there still driving that Jester, so it really makes me think that you guys still have a lot of faith in it. And that's the thing, is if you guys have faith in it, I want to find out why you do and really put it to the test to see if it is. So thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to keep bringing you some more stuff. We do want to share, like, if you guys see some times here we're not getting it right, put it in the comments. Let us know. I mean, that's the idea of being able to improve and continue to test things, and then put that stuff over to you guys so that everybody out there can have a good competitive race. I love the idea of going into a race and having two guys that are two or three people that are really just top-notch racers that really put you to the test, and that stuff is a blast. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, get involved. We'll talk to you soon. Check out these other videos, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be back soon. See you next time at the LS Car Meets.